Hi, I'm Scott Whittle, and on behalf of Tom Stevenson and myself, I'd like to invite you to watch a short video on the Warbler Guide Song and Call Companion. The Companion is a downloadable set of audio files that cover all the examples in the Warbler Guide, making it much easier to hear and understand the examples we present in the book. The files are arranged to follow the book page by page, making it very easy to follow along any chapter or species account, or to quickly find a specific vocalization you'd like to study. Most of the vocalizations are from Cornell's Macaulay Library of Natural Sounds, and Cornell is selling the download on their site. So let's go through the process of getting those downloads and working with them. First, I go to our website, thewarblerguide.com. So I'm on the website, and I look on the sidebar here and see that there's a download button. So I'm going to click on that download, and it takes me directly to the Macaulay Library, and you can see at the bottom there's a Purchase Online button. So you simply add to cart, and then go through a normal purchase process. And then at the end of that process, you'll have a download link that you just click and it'll download the file directly to your computer. Now, normally that file will download into a downloads folder or wherever you've specified on your computer. And then I like to take those files and put them up on my desktop to make it easier to work with. So I'm going to hide this browser now. And here we have the files. And this is what appears on my desktop, this zip file. And this is just a compressed folder. So I just click it to open it, or use whatever process on your computer to unzip, and you'll wind up with a Warbler Guide Companion folder. So now I open this folder, and I have here the Warbler Guide Song and Call Companion, and you can see all my files are here, and it's actually 1,032 files. And actually, when you open it, it'll be 1,033, but I've already dragged one file out, and that's this PDF file, which is our brochure that explains how to use the Warbler Guide Song and Call Companion, and that's what we're going over right now. So this is sort of a print form of what we're talking about. So now I've got all my files in one place and they're ready to use. So I'm going to open up iTunes. Now you can use any music program you'd like, but we find iTunes is a common one and fairly easy to use. So I'm going to open iTunes, and once iTunes is open, I'm going to create a new playlist. So I'm going to go to the bottom left to this plus sign, click that, and then go to New Playlist and select that. Now I've already done this process to save a little bit of time. And I created a playlist that I called the Warbler Guide Songs. You could call it whatever you'd like. And then I took all the files here in the folder, selected them all, and then just dragged them over into iTunes. And when I do that and release the mouse, it's going to drop all these files into that playlist, and it's going to create a new playlist with every song on the list. So once I do that, it took me about 10 or 15 minutes for it to process all those files and copy them into my iTunes library. And then I have a playlist that's actually in order and ready to use. Now what's nice about this is you can move this playlist onto your mobile device. So you could use an iPhone or iPod, you could use any kind of Android or other mobile MP3 player. And that makes it convenient if you want to take the book with you somewhere and just have something in your hand that you can play the songs along with. So now I have these songs all in order. Notice that the file names actually are in order. So if you sort by name, that'll put them into the correct sequential order in the book. And also the track numbers are attached to the file. So even if the file names for some reason get renamed, which they shouldn't be, but if they did, you would still have a track number here that would keep everything in order. So let's take a look at these files for a moment. First of all, note that there's album artwork attached to each file. So this, with iTunes, this is generally used to show the album cover of a song, but we've actually put the sonogram into that image. So if you take a look here, you can see the sonogram for the file that you're looking at. And if you double click it, you'll wind up with a mini browser on the side that actually shows you a larger version of the sonogram. And you can even use this browser to then play your song, so you can use this scroll through to go through each song as you're playing. The older versions of iTunes actually allowed you to display a larger version in the lower left corner of iTunes, but unfortunately they've taken that feature away in iTunes 11, so you'll use a separate browser if you want to use that feature. Another point is that these files each have a short pause at the end, and that just helps a little bit if you're going sequentially through the file so they don't go rapid fire one right after the other. And finally, if you're listening to these songs, I like to have them on repeat, which means that the single song will keep playing over and over again. And that helps a lot when you're working with the book, because you might not want to skip to the next song quite yet. And so that'll keep it on the song that you're looking at, and you can have better manual control of going from one song to the next. So let's take a look at these file names now and just see how they work. These files are all named in the same protocol, and the protocol is as follows. First, you have the page number. So 253, for example, would be the page number that you would go to for this particular file. And then there's a letter, and that letter actually expresses where the sonogram is located on the page. So let's just look at the PDF here for a second, and we can see that system. It goes left to right, top to bottom. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sonograms, and they're labeled A, B, C, D, E, F. And so they just go in a logical order on the page. The one exception to that is if we're looking at a spread, in which case the letters actually go all the way across the page. But those pages will be numbered in our list here as a 2-number page. So it'll say 134 to 135, for example. So we have our page number and we have our location letter. And then the next part of the name is going to be the chapter name. So here it says Songfinder East, and that's the chapter name. Another chapter name would be Understanding Sonograms, How to Listen, or more commonly with the master pages, it'll be the name of the bird whose master page you're looking at. So for example, Blackburnian. So let's look at an example of that. If we're going to common yellowthroat, and we can look at it also in the brochure that we have here. If we were looking at our file here and we looked at common yellowthroat 258D, which is right here, type A2. So if we look here on the page, it says 258, that's page 258. Common yellowthroat's the title of the chapter, and D is type A2. So type A2 is also in the file name, and that's the file name that's associated with the sonogram. So it's how it's labeled in the book. So let's look at one other thing in the book that could be slightly confusing, but hopefully is fairly clear. If you go to this example of Louisiana water thrush, so this is 323B. I'm just going to find that in iTunes. 323B, Louisiana water thrush, yellow-throated A1. Now, the reason that might be confusing is because there's 2 warbler names in here. But remember, the first name is actually the chapter name, and the second name is how the sonogram itself is labeled. So here on the page, we see Louisiana water thrush is the chapter name. Yellow-throated A1 is actually the sonogram label. And the reason there's another bird name here is because this is a comparison species that's being compared to Louisiana water thrush. So hopefully that explains clearly how this system works. Again, we have this great playlist that we can take with us or use on our laptop. And if you have any other questions, you can certainly look through this booklet, and hopefully that will be helpful. It also has a number of step-by-step instructions about how to install the playlist and so forth. We hope this video shows you how easy it is to install and use the Song and Call Companion. It's another valuable tool in using our innovative system for learning vocalizations, and we're confident it will be a useful addition to the book. Thanks, and welcome to the Warbler Guide.